guys, it's Krutaka. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how I take my photos when I'm traveling alone. So a lot of times, like you know, I end up traveling solo, and contrary to popular belief, I don't have an Instagram boyfriend or a team that travels with me to take my photos. And if you get strangers to take your photos, they either cut your feet off or get the frame wrong or just get a very slanted photo. So I figured I have to learn to take my own photos because this is part of my job. Here are some of the photos I've taken of myself. I think they've turned out pretty decent. So today I'm going to be showing you how I actually take my photos and also share some tips on how you can take better photos when you're traveling. So let's start with the equipment I use to take photos. So it really depends on where exactly I am and how easy it is to carry my cameras, but typically I take photos either on this camera, which is my vlogging camera, the Canon G7X, or I use this setup, which is what I'm going to be using today. So this is the Sony a6500 with the 16mm Sigma lens and this tripod. I also have bigger tripods, but I feel like when you're traveling, A, they're very hard to carry around because they're quite big and heavy, and B, I feel like it makes it very obvious that you're doing like a photo shoot and stuff, and I don't like to draw that attention. So this is like a small tripod which I have. This is the Manfrotto Evo Pixie, I think, and this can go all the way sideways like this, so you can take vertical photos and videos and stuff. And finally, I will use my phone because my phone actually has an app which connects to this camera and I can see what I'm filming. So that is very useful when you're taking photos alone. But if you don't have a fancy equipment, you can just do this whole thing using your phone as well. So you just need a phone, a mobile tripod, and maybe a Bluetooth button just to take photos. And if you don't have a Bluetooth button, you can always just use the self timer. So anyway, let's get down to taking photos now. So walking around, I came across this really nice yellow wall, and I think that will be a good frame. Also that archway over there, I think that's a good frame as well. So I'm gonna try taking photos here now. So like you can see here, I've actually connected my phone to my camera and I can see what's happening. So for example, if I get in the frame now, I can actually see myself, and as I move around I can see what frame looks good and what position I should be standing in. So this is super useful. So this is the frame that I've set. That's the setup, and I'm just gonna go stand there and take some photos now. Now coming to how I actually take the photos. So this app also acts like a remote. So this button is like the shutter button, and if I click on it, it takes a picture. So usually I leave it at a 2-second timer or a 10-second timer so that I click it and I have time to put my phone away. Sometimes I also click on a continuous mode. So instead of a single photo, if I choose the continuous mode, it will keep taking photos non-stop so that I can keep changing my pose and all the photos will get saved. So I've done too much talking now. Let me just show you how it's done. So the first thing I do is figure out where to stand and what position works best, and then I take a test shot. Once I'm satisfied with that, I'll just go ahead and take a lot of photos with different poses until I'm happy with a couple of shots. A few poses I normally do are looking to the side, playing with my hair, and trying a walking type pose. Sometimes I also try like a sitting down pose, but it didn't really work out over here. So I've gotten a few shots that I like, but I think I'm gonna try another angle just to be sure because I really like this wall. I follow the same steps, figure out which position works best, and just pose away. Also make sure I don't get run over while I'm at it. So after editing, this is what the first shot looks like. I think I'm quite happy with the shots I got at this spot. I'm gonna try the next spot, which is this archway. So this is the frame and this is the setup. I repeat the same steps. I was quite happy with this frame, so I didn't really try out different angles. And as always, too many distractions while filming. So this is what the final shot looks like. So I'm quite happy with the second photo too. I didn't really try too many different angles and poses with that because I was quite happy with the first one. But a few pointers for you. So normally I take like a lot of photos. So just for the sake of this video, I'm obviously not taking like hundreds of photos, but it really depends. Sometimes you get the right shot within like 10 photos, and sometimes it takes like 50, 100 photos in different angles and poses and stuff. But this is like an art form and I really enjoy doing it. I also find it therapeutic because you're spending like alone time and figuring this out. So I really enjoy doing it. So anyway, like you saw, I tried like different angles and different poses. I think I have to learn more poses though, because my typical poses are like me holding my hand or doing something like that, or like a walking shot and stuff like that. So It's good to have like a few poses up your sleeve so that you're not completely clueless in front of the camera and you don't end up wasting too much time. But anyway, I'm gonna walk around now and try to find another spot. Walking around, I came across this really cute hammock which I thought would make for a good photo. Again, I tried a few different poses and here's what the final shots look like. Typically, before I visit a place, I do some research beforehand so I know what the best spots for photos are. But because I'm in a resort right now, and in a lot of cases you don't really know what the best places are and you want to also discover cool places. So the best thing to do is just walk around and find good spots. My next spot is this beautiful staircase that you see behind me. I think I'm going to try and take some sit-down shots here just to change things up. I think they have like a wedding going on, which is why there's all this decor right now. Anyway, I'm trying to find what angle works for this, and because I want a sit-down photo, I think that looks really nice with staircases and stuff. I started quite early in the morning, but by this time, as you can see, there are a lot of people out and about, so it was a bit difficult to take photos without other people in the frame. Also, sometimes it does get awkward with so many people around, but I think I'm too used to it now to care. But anyway, here's what the final photo looks like. Okay, this place is getting very crowded now, so I'm gonna try to find a different spot. Ideally, I would try multiple different angles at this staircase because there's so much you can do here, but I hope this works for the sake of this video. I think next I will try to take a portrait shot, so basically like my upper body where the background is nice and blurry. So let's go try to find a spot for that now. So for this portrait photo, I feel like the staircase might be a good idea. I will sit and use this as the background. I don't even know whose villa this is. I hope they don't mind, but let's quickly get this shot. So this is what the frame looks like, and that's my setup. I'm sort of filming against the sun, so I don't know how this will turn out, but sometimes I feel like I like the look of that. Also, typically I carry a bunch of accessories. Right now I'm not carrying much, but I have this headband which I feel like might look nice. So I'm gonna try a few photos with this, a few without, and let's see what the outcome is. It kind of looks like I'm texting here, but I was just adjusting the settings because like I said, I was filming against the sun. Here's me awkwardly trying to figure out how to pose for this shot. I think we've got this shot. I love this photo. So I'm back in my room now, done with my little self photo shoot, and I was just looking at the photos and I'm quite happy with how a lot of them have turned out. So typically I take photos in JPEG and RAW format both. So RAW files basically allow you to do a lot more in terms of editing. So a lot of photos look dark right now, but I know with editing I can make them look really good. So editing is a big part of making photos look good because a lot of times the lighting isn't in your favor, and in general I feel like editing helps you maintain an aesthetic on Instagram. So for a long time I've been planning to launch my presets. I have my own presets which I use to edit my photos, and I plan to launch them soon, so keep an eye out for that. I also plan to make a whole other video on how I edit my photos, so if you'd like to see that, just comment and let me know. Before I end this video, I'm going to share a few tips with you guys on how to take better photos. Firstly, a lot of people ask me how you take photos in public, isn't it awkward? And like you saw, there were a lot of people. Even though I went early in the morning, there was like crowd, especially at the staircase, and I feel like I'm just in the zone of taking photos and I'm used to it now. Initially it is awkward, even now sometimes it's awkward, so that's just something you have to get over. If you're enjoying the process, I don't think it matters, and usually people are just like curious to know what you're doing because they find it interesting too. So try not to get intimidated by that. And of course, if you're in really crowded places outside, then be careful of your camera because you don't want people to steal it. So typically I wouldn't set up a tripod in like super crowded places where there are a lot of people and there's likelihood of my camera being stolen. Next, I think it's a good idea to keep in mind what clothes you wear and what accessories you wear, because that actually makes a huge difference to the photo. So for example, if I know I'm going to a forest or a garden and everything's going to be green, I wouldn't wear a green outfit. I'd probably wear like a white or a yellow or a red outfit so that I stand out in the photo. Now of course it depends on what look you're going for. If you want to blend in with the background, that's great too, but typically I wouldn't wear the same color as the background. A lot of times when I'm traveling, I don't really know where I'm going to be taking photos, so I can't always plan it, but I think it's a good idea to carry like a few accessories like sunglasses, hats, a headband, maybe like a jacket and stuff, so that you can just mix things up. Another tip is to go to these places early in the morning, because that's when it's least crowded. So not only do you not have people in the background, but it's also less awkward to film when there's no one. So I think it's a good idea to wake up early. I'm not a morning person, but still I think for photos and stuff, it's a good idea to go early in the morning, or just figure out when it's not going to be crowded and go there then. Also, in terms of photography, early morning and evening times are the best for photos, and that's when the sunlight is the best and you get amazing photos. So try to take photos like early in the morning or around 4 to 6 p.m. in the evening, which is when the lighting is going to be amazing. I'm also going to share a couple of composition tips. So one thing I try to keep in mind is to follow the rule of thirds. This is the most basic photography hack. So let me show you what it looks like on the camera actually. So I don't know if you can see, but there are 2 lines here and then 2 lines here. Basically, if you put your grid on, you can see the screen divided into 9 sections. And basically what the rule of thirds says is that the subject of the photo should be at the intersection of one of these 4 points or on one of these lines itself. That makes your composition nicer. So I try to follow that as much as possible, and even if the photo doesn't have that, I try to crop it and make sure it's following the rule of thirds, because that automatically makes your picture look good. Another thing I try to do is to find frames. So like today I found that bridge, the archway under which I took a picture, and that made like a nice frame in the picture, I think. So try to find frames like that, because that makes your photos look better. Again, I said this at the start, but you don't need like a fancy camera and a huge setup. You can do this whole thing using your phone as well. So just use your phone, get a mobile clip and a tiny tripod or a mobile tripod, and if possible get a Bluetooth button. They're just these remote control tiny buttons. You can connect it to your phone using Bluetooth and use that as a remote to click photos. And if that doesn't work, you can just use the good old self timer. So set up your frame, set a 10-second timer, click, and then go and pose. So that's how I started off taking photos of myself. So that's the most basic way to do it. I'm gonna end by saying that this is actually a very fun process. You don't have to get intimidated by the setup and people around you. Just try to have fun, because it's a creative form and it feels really good not to be dependent on someone to get good photos. If you're traveling solo or even otherwise you want to take photos of yourself, you don't have to depend on someone, and I think that's quite an empowering feeling. So I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, give it a like, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, press the bell button, and if you follow any of these tips and take photos of yourself, do tag me on Instagram, because I'd love to see the pictures you take. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.